everyone. Welcome to Daily Newspaper Analysis, which is brought to you by LawSikho. So today we have one editorial for a discussion, which we have taken from the Hindu newspaper. It's a very interesting read, basically about the tussle of power between the governor and the elected government of a state. So basically, we'll be understanding about the bill assent, a delay, and the position of the governor in the Indian Constitution. Secondly, we have the news update, wherein we'll be covering the important news points that can directly be asked in our prelims exam. And thirdly, we have the legal news, in which we'll be covering the most important and latest case laws for the day. So let's understand about the position of governor under the constitution. Let's see why at all entirely this issue is into news. The state of Tamil Nadu has been witnessing a confrontation, that is between basically a tussle or a friction between the elected government and the state governor on the question of giving assent to the NEET bill passed by the state assembly. Now, as we know that in a system or the federal system that we have in the country, we have an electorally chosen government that is run by the prime minister at the center and the chief minister in the states. And then we also have, the executives, in which we have the president at the center and the governor at the states. When we talk about the governor, so governor is appointed by the president and also holds the office till the pleasure of the president. But unlike this situation, the chief minister is a completely elected body. It's a completely elected position wherein the people of the state come and vote for this position. Now, in this regard, many a times we have seen that a tussle has been seen between the powers of the governor and the chief minister, wherein they try to use their own discretion, their own loopholes basically, to increase their power or to show that they are the real winner of the game. But ultimately, what happens is that it is the common public like you and I who have to suffer because of this kind of tussle or friction between the agencies of the government. Let's see what is this entire issue talking about. Firstly, it talks about the position of a governor in the constitutional setup. So Article 154 Clause 1 says that the governor can act only on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. Here, please note that Council of Ministers is again the ministers that have been elected and voted upon by the people and ultimately are headed by the Chief Minister. So this article of the Constitution 154 Clause 1 provides that governor can act only on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. Also, similar to the Government of India Act of 1935, it says that it is a settled constitutional position that the governor is only a constitutional head and the executive power of the state is exercised by the Council of Ministers. Just as we talk about the real executive and the nominal executive, again, just like we say for the president and the prime minister, the prime minister is the real executive and the president is only the titular or the nominal executive. Similar position is also, witnessed in the states as well, wherein the chief minister is the real executive and the governor is only a nominal head, only the, titular head. So it was also carried on, in the Government of India Act 1935, when it was said that governor is only a constitutional head and the executive power of the state, the real executive power, is exercised by the Council of Ministers, and ultimately, yes, we can see the chief minister. Then we have an important landmark judgment over here of Shamsher Singh versus State of Punjab of 1974, in which the Supreme Court held that governor and the president should exercise their formal constitutional power only upon and in accordance with the advice of their ministers, save in a few well-known exceptional situations. Now, of course, we know that there are some constitutional discretions or exceptional situations wherein the president or the governor can act upon their own discretion. Like, for example, if no party could form a kind of a majority, so in that case, the governor can call the next majority party or the next largest party to come and form the government. Now, in such situations, definitely some discretions are allowed to the governor as well as the president, but they are also in a very, 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 very limited and few situations. So the governor under the constitution has no functions which he can discharge by himself, no functions at all. Please consider this was the contention of Dr. B. R. Ambedkar in the Constituent Assembly, but that is not the case in the reality. As we just mentioned, that there are definitely some constitutional discretions which are allowed to the governor, but according to Dr. B. R. Ambedkar, there were no functions at all that could be exercised or discharged by the governor without the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. Now, as the Council of Ministers enjoys the confidence of the Assembly, Its advice in these matters, unless patently unconstitutional, must be deemed as binding on the governor. So this was held, or this was basically put out by the Sarkaria Commission, and also in the Nabam Rabia case, wherein it was said that since the Council of Ministers, because as we were saying that it is an elected body, so we say that it enjoys the confidence in the assembly, which means that it enjoys the confidence of the people of that particular state. So definitely it will be more, it is said that the contention of the Council of Ministers will hold more power. And in this regard, unless the aid and advice given by the Constituent Assembly, or basically the Assembly of the state, is not patently unconstitutional, which means that unconstitutional on the face, if that is not the case, so the governor will have to listen to this particular advice of the Council of Ministers. Now let's see what do we have as the options before the governor in the matter of giving assent to a bill. So this has been provided under Article 200 of the Constitution. So there are various options that the governor can exercise when a bill is being provided to him. So the governor can give his assent to the bill, like straight away assent, or he can even withhold his assent. So first options are that first either he can agree upon the bill, or he can withhold his assent. Secondly, he can also reserve the bill for the consideration of the president, in which case the assent is given or withheld by the president. So he can actually put up the bill and forward it to the president, wherein later the president can now either give his assent or withhold his assent. Thirdly, return the bill to the legislature with the request that it may reconsider the bill or any particular provision of the bill, basically send it back for some kind of reconsiderations or amendments. And here, the governor can also suggest any new amendments to the bill, which is not binding upon the assembly. Please remember, this is an important prelims question as well, that when the governor returns the bill to the house for reconsideration, or he sends any kinds of amendments, so will these suggested amendments be binding on the house to take or not? So please note that these are not binding on the house, and the house can again return the bill for his assent without putting even a single of those amendments. And in this situation, when such bill is returned again to the governor for his assent, the governor has no option but to give assent to the bill. So the Constitution does not permit the governor to sit on a bill after the assembly resubmits it to him after reconsideration, even with or without the suggested amendments. So withholding the assent to a bill by the governor, an appointee of the president, neutralizes the entire legislative exercise by an elected legislature enjoying the support of the people. See, the purpose of bringing in the institution of governor was to make the entire state mechanism smoother. And if at all, this thing is instead of making the entire legislative process and the executive process smooth, brings in more friction. So definitely the entire purpose of a legislature fails, and thus it is definitely not a good thing, and it is completely frictional on part of a better running of the constitution. Let's see what do we have for news updates today. Firstly, the Chief of Naval Staff, Admiral R Hari Kumar, will confer the Gallantry and Distinguished Service Awards. So Navy Chief Admiral R Hari Kumar will be awarded by Gallantry and Distinguished Service Awards at this year's Naval Investiture ceremony at Kerala's Kochi. So 31 awards, including 6 Nausena medals for gallantry, 8 Nausena medals for devotion to duty, and 17 Vishisht Seva medals will be presented to the awardees. Secondly, JAIN University becomes the Khelo India University Games 2021 champions. So JAIN, which is deemed to be university, becomes the winner of the Khelo India University Games 2021. The university team topped the chart with 20 gold, 7 silver, and 5 bronze medals, followed by Lovely Professional University with 17 golds and Punjab University with 15 golds. Thirdly, Santosh Trophy 2022, Kerala beats Bengal to win title. So Kerala lifted the title for the 7th time after beating Bengal in a penalty shootout. After normal time failed to produce the goal, the teams were tied at 1 each after extra time. Santosh Trophy is an Indian domestic football competition contested by the regional state associations and government institutions under the All India Football Federation. Fourthly, US Supreme Court to annul the abortion right. So the Supreme Court of USA has voted to strike down the landmark Roe versus Wade decision, according to an initial draft majority opinion written by Justice Samuel Alito, circulated inside the court and obtained by Politico. Fifthly, India's ranking in the World Press Freedom Index slips to 150, so even worse than before. So India's ranking in the World Press Freedom Index has fallen down to 150th position from the last year's 142nd position out of 180 countries, which is basically ironic because when we talk about freedom of press in India, it is a fundamental right under Article All right, guys, why don't you tell me about this? So please go into the comment section and let me know that freedom of press is a fundamental right of the Indian Constitution. Under which article of the Constitution? Let's get back to this. The rankings of the India's neighbor, except that for Nepal, have also slid down. This report, this is World Press Freedom Index, is prepared and released by Reporters Without Borders. Sixth, Coal Miners Day 2022. So National Coal Miners Day celebrated on May 4th annually, which highlights the contributions of coal miners in meeting our energy demands. So the Mines Act 1952, Mines Rule 1955, Coal Mine Regulation 1957, among others, lay down the provisions for the healthy, safety and welfare of the workers in coal, oil and metal mines. Now let's see, what do we have for the legal news today? Asking husband to produce salary slip in maintenance proceedings can't be termed as violation of privacy. So the Madhya Pradesh High Court in the Gwalior bench has observed that giving an opportunity to the husband to file his salary slip for effective adjudication of the maintenance proceedings cannot be said to be depriving him of his life and personal liberty. This was held in the case of Rashi Gupta and others versus Gaurav Gupta. Secondly, right of redemption subsists so long as mortgage itself subsists. Clause to restrict period of redemption in conflict with the law. So the Jharkhand High Court has affirmed that the term of the mortgage, placing embargo on the redemption of the mortgage of property by shortening the term or the period within which the redemption could be sought, is a clog on redemption and as such void. This was held in the case of Braj Kishore Sahu versus Tribhuvan Nath Sahadev. So this was all for the day. We hope you liked the session. If you did, do like the session and you may subscribe to our channel as well. Thank you so much.